Get ready for your daily dose of WordPress and web development tips, tricks, and insights to help you find success with WordPress. You're listening to WP the Podcast with your hosts, David Blackman and Tim Streifler.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today we're going to talk about why so many WordPressers dislike Gutenberg. If you've been under a rock for the last few years and you're in the WordPress world and you don't know what Gutenberg is, well, Gutenberg is WordPress's new editor that they implemented, I guess probably about 8-9 months ago. I think it was December of last year when they officially implemented it into WordPress, maybe a little bit later. I don't remember. Tim can tell us a little bit about maybe more what Gutenberg is and then give his take on why so many WordPressers dislike it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gutenberg is WordPress's new native page builder, story builder, drag and drop visual editor, whatever you want to call it. And so they came out with it, as David mentioned, a year ago. And so it was something that was been planned for a while, and it's been really hard for the WordPress community as a whole to fully adopt it. A lot of people didn't want it. And so I think there's two reasons that I kind of been thinking about lately, even though Gutenberg isn't brand new, but that I've kind of realized what makes it disliked by a lot of the community. One is it was kind of forced upon. Even though much of the community said, no, we don't want it, it was still pushed. And so that's a big thing. And then another thing is within the editor itself, it's kind of forced upon. And yes, there is the classic editor plugin that brings back the normal classic editor. But what I realized recently is unless you install that classic editor, it's kind of one or the other. If you don't want Gutenberg, you install the classic editor plugin, and they've said that's not going away anytime soon, so there's no worry there. But you can't use both on the same site. So you cannot use Gutenberg unless something's changed. I haven't looked recently, but you can't use Gutenberg on some posts and the classic editor on other posts. Where if you look at all of the popular page builders, Divi, Beaver Builder, Elementor, they basically gave you the option of, if Divi was installed, you can, on blog posts, you can use the classic editor, or you can click the design with Divi, and then you get the full page building experience. But with Gutenberg, you don't have that option. If Gutenberg is installed, then you, or I guess I should say, if the classic editor plugin isn't installed, then you have to use Gutenberg on everything. Where that's not necessarily a bad thing if you like it, but it's more of a page builder. And so for a client that just wants to write a simple blog post, they want to plug in text content and maybe add some images here and there, which is what the classic editor did so well. Is it allowed either a professional theme designer to create page templates, or a professional to create templates, and then the client to come in and just add their content, nothing else, no design, no layout building, nothing. And so Gutenberg basically forces layout building, page building on the end user unless you have it completely off. And so that's kind of what I realized, is not having the ability, because the classic editor was perfect for just inputting content, whether it was a custom post type, a blog post, that's it. You don't have to think about layout or anything like that. And so Gutenberg kind of takes that freedom away.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with something even more insanely simple. People hate change. They just don't like it. Gutenberg, the WYSIWYG editor, has been a part of WordPress for 15 years by the time they made this change, and people just don't like change. They're resistant to it. You want to say something, Tim?
Yeah, definitely. No, I completely agree. Everyone hates change, and so I think if they would have made it an option, hey, the Gutenberg editor is here, and encourage people to use it, people would start to use it and get more familiar, rather than that change being forced on them. To where, like with Divi, it's like, no, you chose to use Divi, and then you chose to use Divi on a post or a page
builder.
basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as opposed to the WYSIWYG editor and stuff. I agree with you. So there you go. Now you know why so many WordPressers dislike Gutenberg. Gutenberg's here. It's going to be here forever. It's here to stay. So whether you dislike it or not, you better get used to it, because eventually I think WordPress is going to do away with the old classic editor. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll keep it forever. I can't remember what Matt Mullenweg decided or said he was going to do. So
at least a couple years.
Yeah, at least a couple of years. So we're 1 year in, so you at least got one more year before it gets obliterated. So this is your year. Start getting used to Gutenberg. Tomorrow we've got another great topic, our top 5 HTML5 video players for WordPress. Tim, until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
We've come to the end of today's episode of WP the Podcast. Join us tomorrow for more daily tips and strategies designed to help you run your WordPress business toward success. Remember to subscribe to WP the Podcast so you can stay up to date with each episode. And don't forget to rate and review us. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on WP the Podcast.